Bing Crosby is one of the most successful recording artists in history. The White Christmas and Winter Wonderland crooner has sold over 500 million records and also had a prominent acting career. But the loving family man image he always had came into question when his oldest, Gary, released a damning memoir calling Bing's family life into question. Less than a decade after Gary's memoir was released, his two younger brothers passed away from suicide. In this video, we'll learn about the tragic circumstances of Bing Crosby and his son's death. Bing Crosby's sudden death. Bing Crosby had a very busy month leading up to his death in October of 1977. He performed on tour for 2 weeks, gave a concert in London, recorded music, had a photo shoot, and gave several interviews. He also had to deal with a break-in and robbery at his London apartment before playing golf and sitting for an interview the next day. Soon after, he traveled to Spain for a 4-day hunting and golfing trip. Sadly, he never got to go bird hunting or make use of the $700 outfit he got just for the occasion. During his final interview, he noted the movie High Society with Grace Kelly and Frank Sinatra was his favorite ever that he acted in, and told journalists it was one of his most satisfying career moments. His trip was cut short when he had a heart attack and died almost instantly on the golf course. It was completely sudden. He didn't show any signs of pain before collapsing to his death. His final words were reported as, "Let's go have a Coca-Cola." Gary Crosby's memoir. Bing Crosby took a lot of pride in his image of a loving husband and father, and often appeared in magazine spreads with his family showcasing this. In Gary's 1983 memoir, Going My Own Way, he alleges his father was not the beloved and caring man the public thought he was. Gary said his father was mentally and physically abusive towards him and often had a very disapproving and cold demeanor. He claimed his parents were like dictators who made him feel like he was in prison, and he hated his home life. According to Gary, he and his siblings would be beaten for staying up past their bedtime and had to abide by strict rules governing every aspect of their lives. Gary detailed multiple humiliating and abusive incidents that occurred throughout his youth. He notes that his brothers and he became alcoholics as a result of the miserable treatment they received from Bing and their mother, Dixie Lee. The boy's mother allegedly also abused alcohol until her death from cancer in 1952. Hey, if you're enjoying this video so far, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to Facts First for more. And stick around for more about Bing Crosby and his family. The death of Dennis and Lindsay. Brothers Dennis and Lindsay Crosby were very close and were said to share traits of humility and meekness. Lindsay relied on his mother's inheritance from her oil investments to live, as his acting career failed to take off. The brothers were able to live comfortably with the money from their mom's inheritance, but were told the money was soon to run out. They did not have access to their father's large inheritance, since it was put into a trust that the brothers did not have access to until later in life. Most of their father's fortune was left to his second wife and their children. The news came shortly before Lindsay took his own life in 1989. When Lindsay learned he had no steady income to keep relying on, he fell into a dark depression and started abusing alcohol. He died by suicide from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The siblings were crushed, but Dennis was arguably the most affected by his brother's death, given their close relationship. Dennis headed down a depressive spiral and fought a tense battle with alcoholism. On one of his last phone calls with ex-wife Arlene, he told her people didn't understand the pain he was in and that he could relate to the darkness and despair Lindsay was dealing with before he took his own life. Less than 2 years after the death of Lindsay Crosby, Dennis too took his own life in the same way his brother had, with a self-inflicted gunshot. Nathaniel Crosby's perspective. Nathaniel Crosby is adamant about refuting his half-brother's claims about the abuse and harsh nature of their dad, Bing Crosby. While he admits Bing was not one to freely show his emotions, he never doubted Bing loved him. Bing never said the words "I love you" to his children, but according to Nathaniel, he was far from the monster described in Gary's book. Nathaniel has fond memories of his father and misses him dearly, saying his death left a huge hole in his heart. He recounts learning to play golf just to spend time with his father on the golf course and counts those as some of his favorite memories. According to Nathaniel, Bing demanded humility from his children and would have them work very hard. And although he acknowledges he doesn't know what happened during Bing's first marriage, he maintains Bing was a decent father. Philip Crosby and Harry Crosby also agree that Gary's claims against their father are mostly fabricated. Unlike Harry, who was Gary's half-brother, Philip also shared the same mom as Gary, and they grew up in the same house. This puts a considerable amount of weight on his statements about their family life. Philip calls his brother a vicious, no-good liar for saying their father would beat any of his children. Nathaniel hopes to restore Bing's brand and introduce his many hit movies and music to new generations. Bing Crosby's daughter. Mary Crosby rejects the claims that her half-brother Gary asserts in his book. She says she personally met with Gary days after the book was released and revealed that he essentially admits the claims he made against their father Bing were exaggerated. According to Mary, Gary relayed to her that the people involved with the book's publishing encouraged him to embellish details to get more press, sell more copies, and generate a greater buzz. Gary apologized to the family a few years later, but by that time, Bing Crosby's reputation had already been destroyed. Mary has expressed quite a bit of anger at this, mentioning how terrible it was that her father's good character was put into question, and she says what her brother did was unfair. Even so, Bing was still as traditional with family values as he was portrayed, vowing even to disown Mary if she lived with a man out of wedlock. She maintains he was always caring towards his children, but had a strict, rigid, and proper demeanor. She also hints that Bing Crosby's first 4 sons may have had so much anger and problems with alcohol as a result of their mother's drinking problem, not only while she was raising the kids, but the lack of drinking restrictions while she was pregnant. Bing Crosby's second family. Mary Crosby asserts Bing had deep regret for not being as present of a father for his first 4 children's lives. His exceptional career took up most of his time and focus. The mega fame he achieved during his first marriage took a toll on his family due to all the commitments that frequently took him away. He fully devoted himself to his career, but Mary says that was his only sin. But she does say it's true he had a second chance to be more of a present father with his second family since he was almost retired by that time. He spent a lot of quality time with them and took them on many trips and adventures. He didn't introduce Hollywood parties or the glamour of fame to his children and taught them to stay humble. They were given a bedtime and simple rules to abide by to avoid getting spoiled. He never pushed his children towards Hollywood, but simply shared his love for his craft with them. Like her brother Nathaniel, Mary hopes to restore and revitalize Bing Crosby for new generations. They're looking into forgotten footage, hidden gems, and other recordings they can re-release and bring new life to. Christmas time is very nostalgic for Mary and Bing's other living children. Mary describes hearing his music in grocery stores and crying, but she's happy to be wrapped up in her father's voice, which reminds her of all the cherished memories with him. Now it's time to hear from you. What's your favorite Bing Crosby Christmas song? Let us know in the comments section below. And before you go, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to FactsVerse if you haven't already. Click the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest content.